Hey, friends. This is Matt down here in the Seacrest studios with our friend Maya. And Maya, you have a special guest on the show today. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, tell us who we're speaking with today.
Daniel Ezra.
All right.
Hi.
Daniel, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here with us.
My pleasure. I'm honored to be here.
Awesome. Well, Maya, why don't you take it away?
So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for calling in. I have been so excited to talk to you and really just in disbelief. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be here. I'm glad we got to talk.
Yeah. So my first question for you is, when was the moment that you first knew you wanted to be an actor?
It was probably in high school when I was about 17 years old. So the year before, I was a jock, you would call it. I played basketball and did athletics and wasn't amazing, but, wasn't good enough to get on the team. And so that was my focus. And my goal was to become a personal trainer in fitness. And then a school teacher called Mrs. Downey, who was the head of drama at the time, talked me into participating in the school play, which we did every 2 years. I usually had nothing to do with it, but she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And so she convinced me to do it. Almost against my will. At first I said, absolutely not. I said, no way. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. And it ended up being the most fun I'd had at school. More fun than basketball, more fun than anything I'd done. And so I was like, oh, wow, I want to do more of this. And so the next year I enrolled in her drama class and she introduced me to Shakespeare and, acting, and actually studying acting as like a craft and as a skill you can develop. And that's where I really fell in love with it. And there was a performance that I did, it was Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. And I remember at some point during that performance, something clicked. And I ended that performance thinking, okay, I want to be an actor. Like, this is what I want to do full time. So it was something happened during that performance that when it ended and everyone was applauding, I was like, yeah, whatever this feeling is, I want to feel this all the time. And so that was it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you were in the shows Undercover, The Missing, and Prime Suspect, 1973. What drew you to these crime dramas?
I think it was being able to get a window into different walks of life. Acting is one of those rare professions where you sort of can get snapshots into lives that are so completely different from your own. So in Undercover, I was playing a young child with autism, and in The Missing, I was playing a soldier. In Prime Suspect, I was playing a detective. And there's very few jobs where you get to, see a little bit what it might be like to be in such wildly different walks of life. And so that was the most fun. When I came out of theatre school, I just wanted to do everything. I wanted to see everything and try everything. And so getting to play a detective was exciting. Getting to play a soldier was really exciting. And so it was probably, getting to look at what those lives might be like while still, doing my job and getting paid for it. It was really cool. And it's one of the unique things about being an actor that I love.
Cool. So yeah, in Undercover, your character was not neurotypical. How did you prepare to play this character?
Yeah, that was one of the most interesting experiences acting wise. I myself and the director, we were invited by the National Autistic Society to come in and visit, and I got to basically spend a day with a bunch of different kids who were on different parts of the autism spectrum, and just to talk to them, just talking to them and listening to their stories and kind of watching how they interacted with me and each other. And that was the best education I could have got. Because, it's not something that somebody like myself can never fully get to grips with and understand. But I wanted to make sure I did the parts justice, and I was treating it how it deserved to be treated. And so being able to get it directly from the source and watch people was it was really interesting. It was really fascinating, and I learned a lot. And they were amazing kids. I met some really like fascinating kids with just these incredible minds and memories and the things that they could remember and draw on. It was really an eye-opening experience. The job was worth it just for that, just to get to spend the day with these kids, and it definitely helped my performance for sure.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you play Spencer James in All American, which is just one of my favorite shows.
Thank you.
What was the biggest challenge in switching genres and switching gears from British crime dramas to playing an American football player?
Honestly, I think you said it right there. I think the biggest challenge was the American football, because I didn't even know what it was when I first got the role. And I remember auditioning, I said to my agent, I said, do they know I can't play American football? Because it's clearly a big part of the show. But they were, they felt like I had what I needed, and the rest I could pick up and learn. And obviously we work with stunt doubles and other people like that. So learning American football was probably the hardest part. I'm still learning it to this day. I still can't profess that I know everything or can do everything, but I'm definitely way better than I was back in 2018. So, I can handle myself fairly decently. So, but yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge. The accent part was really fun. Because again, getting to like change your voice and change how you move and walk that's kind of what you want as an actor. That's the thing you're always chasing. But learning an entirely new sport is tough. it's really tough. Yeah. You have to learn the rules, and then you have to do all these different things with your body and stuff. So that's sort of an ongoing process, but that was the biggest challenge. Yeah.
So I think that it may surprise some people who are listening to hear that you are British, because you do such an amazing American accent on All American. So how did you perfect your American accent?
So before we started filming, I always make music playlists for all my characters. So music playlists that will just kind of help me get into their mind, music that I think that they might like or might be listening to, or that kind of relates to their personality somewhat. And so I made with Spencer being from South LA, I made a playlist of all like LA hip hop, all the songs that I think he would love, and songs that were people talking about life in LA and life in South Central LA. And so that was a big way. And that was all I listened to for like the first kind of few months of filming. I didn't listen to anything else. I didn't listen to any British music, just LA hip hop. And so I had the voice in my head all the time. And then I would go down to Crenshaw, where Spencer's from, sort of every weekend, and just watch people and just listen to people and talk to them and try and pick up on the cadences and the different inflections and how they spoke and how they moved and how they used their hands. And I would just watch. And then once I felt like I had a good base for the accent, I stayed in it for the whole film. And so I never stopped speaking American. And I still do that to this day. We're 4 seasons in. And once 2 weeks before we start filming, right up until we wrap, I only talk in my American accent. And so that kind of helps it become something I don't even have to think about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So Spencer James is an amazing character he's so driven by integrity and his desire to do what is right. Can you relate to Spencer James in any way?
Yeah, I can relate to his circumstances, like how he grew up. My circumstances are actually eerily similar. I grew up with a younger brother. I grew up in single parent household, just like the Spencer James in the show. And so a lot of those conversations that Spencer had with his mom and with his little brother, like I've had a lot of those similar conversations and interactions with my family. And then also, I guess the having such a dream that a lot of people would call unrealistic or far-fetched, or the kind of thing that people say, oh yeah, maybe, but you need a plan B. I guess the odds of a kid from South LA making it all the way to the NFL and then winning the Super Bowl in his first year in the league, it's probably just as unlikely as a kid from Birmingham, UK, starring in a TV show called All American and living in LA, so I can understand the perseverance and the sort of optimism and the drive and the willingness to sort of just focus on the goal. I can understand like how much that takes because those dreams are sort of just as hard and just as unrealistic and just as the number of people that get to that point and get to this point and get to his point are so small. It's one of those dreams that it's very easy to just be like, no, I give up. It's too hard. It's probably not going to happen. But Spencer didn't, and I didn't, and thankfully, and I get to sit here and talk to you.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite show right now?
I don't, only because I'm filming. We just wrapped season 4, and when we're filming, I don't really get to watch a lot of TV. I'm usually just watching, silly stuff, or I'm just listening to music, or I go to the gym and then I film and then I go to bed. Like my life is very, very boring when we're filming. So I'm just now getting back to like having more free time so I can watch TV. So if you ask me again in a couple months, I'm sure I will have. But right now I need to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what song would be featured on the soundtrack of your life?
What song would be featured on the soundtrack of my life? There's a song by a girl in East London called Nao, and the song's called Burnout. And that's probably how I end up feeling whenever we get to the end of the season. And the song's about putting yourself first. It's about kind of working and pushing yourself so much that you sort of are exhausted and you're burnt out, and trying to find that joy in yourself again to be able to, have fun and relax and let go. And so that's kind of the space I'm in now. Because, we work so hard and these seasons are really tough to film and they take a lot of time and a lot of work. And also we were filming during the pandemic. And so that was even more pressure and it was even more exhausting. And so I definitely felt that. I definitely felt burnt out towards the end. And so that's probably the song I relate to the most right now.
Cool. I've never heard that, so I'm gonna look it up right after the interview.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. Yeah. So, what subject would you say that you could give a TED Talk on that you're totally unqualified to give?
Probably Shakespeare. I don't think it would be a good TED Talk, but I love Shakespeare, and it's what made me want to be an actor. And I've seen quite a bit of Shakespeare. I've performed Shakespeare myself a few times, and I fall in love with it every time I read a play or watch a play or do a play, and I can't wait to do it again. So I could probably give a really, really bad TED Talk on Shakespeare. That wouldn't be good, but it'd be fun for me. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So when you're on the red carpet and like in magazine shoots, you always look so put together, but have you ever had a fashion disaster?
Fashion disaster. It wasn't really a fashion disaster, but I remember years and years ago, before I came to America, I went to a very kind of small like award show in London, and the couple of days before, I got a huge pimple right here, and I was very, very stupid, and I picked at it and burst it, and it left a huge mark on my face. And so all the pictures from that day is just it's me. Like, I looked fine, but I just this big like horrible mark and spot, and I didn't know anything about how to take care of people, which I'm sure everybody's had. We all get pimples, we all get bad skin days, and that was just a bad skin day. So I don't like to look at those pictures. But apart from that, no, I mean, honestly, I don't really go to a lot of those things. That they can be fun. But honestly, yeah. So I usually just go and have fun, and then I never really stay too long.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So when you're having a bad day, what do you do to make yourself feel better?
I ride my bike. It's right here. It's like my favorite thing. Even as a kid, I was never in the house. I was always riding my bike with my friends. And so during the pandemic, which is obviously tough for everyone, I got a bike, and just, being sort of cooped in the house and stuck in the house was really tough for me. I always like to be moving. And so I ended up buying a bike, and it was like being a kid again. And so now when if I'm stressed or I'm feeling not great, I usually put my headphones in, jump on the bike, and head to like a cycle path and something, just ride around for hours, just listen to music, and I always feel better.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love riding my bike too, but usually usually I bought a stationary bike, because usually with like my bike that I actually ride outside, I usually run into everything.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, I think it's safer if I just like can stay put.
Yeah.
And not have any obstacles in my way. So
well, at least you're still riding. You still get to ride, which is good.
Yeah. So is there a motto or quotation that you live by?
Yeah, it's a quote from a writer called John Updike, and he said, "Celebrity is a mask that eats into the face," which I love, because it basically is a warning that to anyone who is in any kind of spotlight, to not get too seduced by it and to not lose yourself. And quite often the face we put forward to like the outside world is very different to the person we are when we're alone at home or around like our loved ones. And sometimes you can get so used to the spotlight, or so I guess you can almost like it too much, that the person you are there, you start to think that's the real person. And so it's just a reminder to me about sort of remembering kind of who you are before being in this outside of the spotlight, and staying true to that, and not having those two people sort of be in conflict. I think that causes problems. Just a reminder to be yourself.
Yeah. My favorite quote that like I always remember is something my mom always used to say, and I mean she still does. She just says, "Let your freak flag fly." And
your what? What was it again?
Let your freak flag fly.
Oh, right. That's cool.
So that's one I have always remembered.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that one.
Yeah.
Steal that one.
Sorry, what?
I'm gonna steal that one.
Oh. Yeah, I my mom would be happy with that. So yeah. We both were when I told her that I was interviewing you going to be interviewing you. We were both so excited because my mom loved Undercover, and we both love All American. We watch it together, so
That's great. Well, hello, Mom. Hello from me.
I will tell her you said that. So my last question for you is, who do you consider to be a real life superhero and why?
You. I think you're a real life superhero. Yeah. I think when I found out about this and what you've doing and what you've been done over this time, especially going through what you've been going through, it's an amazing thing, and not a lot of people would have or could have done it. So being able to find the kind of strength to, deal with what you're dealing with, and then still find a way to connect with people and deliver these interviews and stuff in such a, it's one of the best interviews I've had. So I think you're a real life superhero. And I usually don't like interviews, so that's a good compliment. This has been fun. So yeah, I would say you're a real life superhero.
Thank you. That means so much to me. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm so happy that you enjoyed this interview, because I've just had the best time talking with you. So
glad.
Thank you.
Of course.
I'm still processing it, so I don't think I've fully processed that I'm actually talking with you. So
That's all good. It's all good. You take your time.
Thank you so much for calling in.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
My
thanks
pleasure.
thanks for being with us, Daniel. Appreciate
it. Of course. Anytime. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.